Dad's Army has made millions of viewers laugh with the humorous adventures of a platoon of aging but enthusiastic National Guard soldiers. But behind the scenes, many familiar faces have faced unimaginable tragedies, from illness, loss of loved ones, to lonely deaths. Get ready to discover the tear-jerking stories hidden behind the smiles on the screen. Let's go! James Beck as Private Joe Walker Stanley James Carroll. Beck was born on 21st February 1929 in Islington, London. In 1968, at the age of 39, he began playing Private Joe Walker in Dad's Army, a quick-witted, charming Londoner whose mischievous demeanor became one of the film's comedic highlights. Beck brought the role to life with charm and daring, helping to define the series' comedic tone and usher in the most successful period of his acting career. Beck's childhood was difficult. His father was often unemployed, while his mother made a living making artificial flowers. Leaving home at 17, he worked a variety of jobs, studied at St. Martin's School of the Arts, and then enlisted in the Army as a fitness instructor. After his discharge, a chance encounter on a bus led him to join a small theater troupe, beginning his journey on stage. Although he quickly made his mark with a number of roles, Beck's career was accompanied by a huge workload and financial pressures, which led him to turn to cigarettes and alcohol as a way to relieve stress. His marriage to Kay Beck brought him stability, but the demands of his job often kept him away from home. He continued to film, perform on stage, and take part in television projects, even as his health began to fail. Friends recall noticing fatigue and blue legs, but he was determined to keep up with his schedule to support his family. In the summer of 1973, while opening a charity event, he suddenly fell ill. Within hours, he was hospitalized with acute pancreatitis, which led to heart and kidney failure. James Beck died on August 6, 1973, at the age of 44, leaving behind his wife and young daughter. His sudden death forced the writers of Dad's Army to remove Walker from the script, shocking both his colleagues and fans. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at $1 million, largely from his role in Dad's Army and other television contracts. Arthur Lowe as Captain George Manwaring. Arthur Lowe was born on 22nd September 1915 in Hayfield, Derbyshire, England. In 1968, at the age of 53, he took on the role of Captain George Manwaring in Dad's Army, the arrogant but loyal and determined commander of the National Guard. Lowe portrayed a character that was both admirable and humorous, becoming synonymous with the classic British comedy series. Behind the scenes, Lowe struggled with serious health problems and personal pressures. He suffered from narcolepsy, a condition that caused him to suddenly fall asleep, sometimes even mid-stage. The inadvertent moments could be humorous, but they could also be dangerous. To overcome his physical limitations, he pushed himself to work at an intense pace, which only accelerated his decline. His wife, actress Joan Cooper, was there for him in his most exhausting and overwhelming moments, but their relationship had its own tensions. Joan often wanted to appear by his side in every project, causing Lowe to turn down important roles unless one was available for her. A well-intentioned decision that inadvertently slowed down both their careers. The conflict between his family commitments and his professional ambitions became an emotional burden that dogged him throughout his later years. Even after suffering the mild stroke in 1979, Lowe maintained a busy schedule, starring in plays, television shows, and commercials. His sense of duty and desire to maintain his public image led him to ignore his doctor's warnings. On April 14, 1982, while preparing to perform Home at 7 with his wife at the Alexander Theatre in Birmingham, he collapsed in the dressing room from a massive stroke. Arthur Lowe died in the early hours of the following morning, 15th April 1982, aged 66. His net worth at the time was estimated at around £3 million, largely from television, stage, and advertising work. John Le Mesurier as Sergeant Arthur Wilson. John Le Mesurier was born on April 5, 1912 in Bedford, England. In 1968, at the age of 56, he took on the role of Sergeant Arthur Wilson in Dad's Army, a polite, calm second-in-command who kept the peace amid disagreements in his platoon. With his gentle manner and subtle acting, he appeared in all 80 episodes, becoming the embodiment of charm and cool on British television. However, behind the serene on-screen image was a turbulent life. He was married 3 times, and his second marriage to actress Hattie Jacques left the deepest scars when she openly had an affair with a younger chauffeur and took him into her home. Le Mesurier chose to suffer in silence, remaining a father and husband in name only, while carrying the pain that had not healed. After their divorce in 1965, he fell into depression and turned to alcohol as an escape. His drinking problem worsened over time, and combined with work pressures and personal turmoil, it led to a collapse during a holiday in Tangier that required emergency hospitalization. His third wife, Joan Malin, provided companionship but also brought her own troubles when she became involved in a complicated relationship with comedian Tony Hancock. The turmoil in his personal life left Le Mesurier emotionally drained. Even after being diagnosed with cirrhosis in 1977 and attempting to quit drinking, he was unable to give it up completely. On 15 November 1983, Jean Le Mesurier died at Ramsgate Hospital at the age of 71 from a gastric hemorrhage caused by complications from cirrhosis. He was cremated and buried in St. George's Church, Ramsgate, beneath a simple headstone that read, "Jean Le Mesurier, beloved actor, rests in peace." At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at £2.5 million, mainly from his film and television roles, as well as his cultural legacy. John Laurie as Private James Fraser. John Laurie was born on March 25, 1897 in Dumfries, Scotland. In 1968, at the age of 71, he played Private James Fraser in Dad's Army, a pessimistic Scottish soldier with dark eyes and a characteristically sad voice. Laurie's sharp delivery and distinctive voice portray Fraser as the platoon's undertaker, a character both humorous and haunting, making him one of the series' most memorable. Laurie's life was deeply affected by war and illness. Abandoning his career as an architect, he enlisted and served in World War I, where he suffered a gas-damaged lung, an injury that would have lifelong consequences. After leaving the army, he found an outlet in the arts, studying acting at the Central School of Speech and Drama. With his distinctive singing voice and exceptional recitative skills, he quickly rose to fame on the Shakespearean stage, known for his performances of Hamlet, Macbeth, and Othello. However, chronic lung disease and a heavy smoking habit from his youth gradually eroded his health, forcing him to work with limited physical resources. His personal life was also marked by cynicism. His first wife, Florence May Saunders, an actress he met at the Old Vic, died of meningitis just a few years after their marriage, leaving him deeply lonely. Years later, he found lasting friendship with Una Veronica Todd Naylor, who was with him for more than 4 decades and bore him a daughter. But tragedy struck again when Una died in 1977 after a long illness, leaving Laurie deeply saddened. He became more withdrawn, rarely appearing in public outside of his professional commitments. On 23rd June 1980, John Laurie died at Chalfont and Gerrard's Cross Hospital, Buckinghamshire, aged 83, from complications of chronic lung disease. He was cremated and his ashes scattered in the English Channel, in accordance with his wishes. His net worth at the time was estimated at £1.5 million, amassed over a career in theater, film, and television spanning nearly 6 decades. Arnold Ridley as Private Charles Godfrey. Arnold Ridley was born on January 7, 1896, in Bath, England. In 1968, at the age of 72, he played Private Charles Godfrey in Dad's Army. a gentle, shy soldier who politely excused himself during tense moments. Ridley's portrayal of Godfrey became a warm and comforting figure, a calm contrast to the chaos of the platoon, providing audiences with tender moments alongside the laughter. As a young man, Ridley had been an athlete and a trainee teacher before the outbreak of World War I. He volunteered for the army, fought in the Battle of the Somme, and suffered serious injuries. His left hand was almost useless, his body was riddled with shrapnel. He suffered a bayonet wound to the groin, and a severe head injury left him with lifelong epilepsy and frequent fainting spells. These injuries forced him to leave the hospital early, but they also fostered a strong resilience that led him to the stage as an emotional refuge. In addition to being a talented Shakespearean actor, Ridley also became a famous playwright with The Ghost Train in 1925, a huge success that brought him both fame and considerable income. Ridley's personal life included 3 marriages, the last to actress Althea Parker, which lasted nearly 40 years and produced a son. However, tragedy struck when their son died at a young age in an accident, leaving behind a grief that never left. On March 12, 1984, Arnold Ridley died in a Northwood hospital at the age of 88, after a fall at Denville Hall, a nursing home for actors. He was cremated at Golders Green Crematorium, and his ashes were buried alongside his parents at Bath Abbey Cemetery. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at $2 million, largely from theater royalties and acting income. Janet Davies as Mrs. Mavis Pike. Janet Davies was born on September 14, 1927 in Wakefield, England. In 1968, at the age of 41, she joined Dad's army as Mrs. Mavis Pike, the devoted and somewhat overprotective mother of Frank Pike. Her character often provided humorous yet heartwarming moments, especially in her complicated relationship with Sergeant Wilson and the annoyance of Captain Mainwaring. Before her rise to fame, Janet had a precarious time balancing her passion for acting with secretarial work for various art houses to make ends meet. Her break came when she became a client of Anne Callender, wife of Dad's army producer David Croft, and was quickly booked for auditions. However, her career path was not always smooth. She was controversially dropped from the role of Mrs. Pike in the 1971 film adaptation by Columbia Pictures, a decision that disappointed many of her colleagues and fans. Her marriage to actor Ian Gardner was initially supportive, but became strained by her demanding work schedule and financial pressures. The constant conflict, coupled with Janet's smoking habit, led to her health rapidly declining. When her breast cancer returned and spread to her lungs, she spent her final months in a nursing home, cared for by friends and colleagues, but she remained gentle and graceful to the end. Janet Davies died on 26th of September 1986, aged 59, closing the final chapter in the career of a beloved British television actress. Her net worth at the time of her death was estimated at £1 million, the result of nearly 2 decades of dedication to her craft, largely amassed quietly, away from the limelight. Ian Lavender as Private Frank Pike. Arthur Ian Lavender was born on February 16, 1946 in Birmingham, England. In 1968, at the age of 22, he was cast as Private Frank Pike in the classic comedy Dad's Army. The naive young soldier was often called a dumb boy, but he completely won over audiences. Lavender was the only actor to appear in all 80 episodes, as well as the 1971 film, serving as a valuable bridge between the young cast and the show's veteran stars. Lavender's youth combined natural talent with a smooth rise in the industry. After graduating from the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School on a scholarship from the city of Birmingham, he immediately began performing professionally on stage and quickly attracted the attention of television producers. The huge success of Dad's Army opened the door to bigger projects, but also brought the challenge of stepping out of Pike's shadow. Lavender admits that for many years he was stereotyped as a young soldier, despite trying his hand at Shakespearean stage work, modern film, and television. His personal life has also had its ups and downs. His first marriage to actress Suzanne Curtis produced 2 sons but ended in divorce. In 1993, he married Michelle Mickey Hardy, who stood by him through his most difficult years. Together, they faced a series of serious health challenges, from a heart attack and bladder cancer diagnosis in 2004 to a bout of sepsis in 2017 that left him hospitalized in Italy while filming a show. Lavender has since retreated from the spotlight, enjoying a quiet life with his wife in Suffolk. On the 7th of February 2024, just 2 weeks before his 78th birthday, Ian Lavender died at his home in Suffolk. His estimated net worth was around £3 million, largely from a career spanning more than half a century, a testament to the talent, resilience, and love of the craft that defined his life. Frank Williams as Reverend Timothy Farthing. Frank Williams was born on July 2, 1931 in London, England. In 1969, at the age of 38, he joined the cast of Dad's Army as the Reverend Timothy Farthing, a gentle, sometimes clumsy but extremely kind pastor, appearing in 40 episodes and leaving a lasting impression on audiences. Frank's youth was marked by a relentless effort to break into the entertainment industry. Born into a strict religious family, he had to find his own way in the arts, starting on local stage before moving to television in his early days. His career was not always smooth. Many of his early roles were short-lived and failed to make him a household name, leaving him under financial pressure and skepticism from both his family and his colleagues. In his personal life, Frank chose to remain single but maintained a deep friendship that lasted decades with Ronald Grange, a fellow Dad's Army stage actor. This relationship became a strong emotional support, especially as age and illness gradually took their toll on his health. Frank Williams passed away on June 26, 2022, just days before his 91st birthday, due to complications from illness at a nursing home in London. His passing brought to an end a career spanning more than half a century, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $1.5 million, largely from his acting and stage work. Edward Sinclair as Verger Morris Yeatman. Edward Sinclair was born on February 3, 1914, in Oldham, England. In 1969, at the age of 55, he joined Dad's Army as Verger Morris Yeatman, a cranky but sarcastic church priest. The character quickly became a staple of the show, getting into comedic clashes with the priest and members of the National Guard. Born into an artistic family, Edward's father was stage actor Albert Sinclair and his mother was actress Gertrude Beams. He made his stage debut at 6 months old but did not become a professional actor until he was 40. His career path was not an easy one. He spent years struggling with small, often non-speaking roles, often getting passed over for major projects. His persistence eventually helped him find his footing, but the pressure of acting and being pigeonholed into unlikable roles sometimes left him mentally stressed and exhausted. His nearly 40-year marriage to Gladys Green was a solid support in his life, but it was not without its pressures. A demanding filming schedule, long tours, and underlying heart problems took their toll on his health. However, Edward maintained a strong work ethic, always arriving on set on time and giving his all to each role, as if he knew his time was limited. On 29 August 1977, Edward Sinclair died suddenly of a heart attack while on holiday in Cheddar, Somerset, age 63. The tragedy occurred just a month after filming the final episode of Dad's Army, leaving him unable to see the 9th season air. His death left a deep void among colleagues and fans, with Arthur Lowe in particular admitting that, with Teddy gone, it was clear Dad's Army would no longer exist. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at £800,000, the result of a lifetime of work on stage and television. Clive Dunn as Corporal Jack Jones. Clive Robert Bertram Dunn was born on January 9, 1920 in London, England. At 48, he became one of the youngest members of the cast of Dad's Army. but was cast as Corporal Jack Jones, an elderly character in the 1968-1977 series. With his silver hair, shuffling gait, and unwavering motto of "Don't panic," his character became one of the most iconic of the classic BBC comedy series. Dunn's childhood was not only linked to the stage, but also to the harsh realities of war. Having begun his acting career in the mid-1930s, he was forced to pause at the outbreak of World War II and join the Queen's 4th Hussars. In 1941, during the Greek campaign, his unit was attacked and forced to surrender. Dunn spent 4 years as a prisoner of war in Austria, an experience that left deep psychological scars. After the war, he continued to act, but remained reserved and private, even as he took on lively and humorous roles on screen. His personal life also saw its share of changes and pressures. In 1951, he married model Patricia Kenyon, but the marriage ended after 7 years. A year later, Dunn married actress Priscilla Pugh Morgan, with whom he had 2 daughters. On the surface, they appeared to be a harmonious showbiz family, but his demanding work schedule and the pressures of fame sometimes put a strain on their marriage. Despite this, Priscilla remained by his side for more than half a century, overcoming numerous health problems and eventually retiring from the spotlight to live a quiet life in Portugal. On 6 November 20, Clive Dunn died at his home in Bolicime, Portugal, aged 92 from complications following surgery. His net worth, estimated at £4 million, came not only from his acting career but also from his 1971 surprise hit, Grandad, which topped the UK music charts. Bill Pertwee as ARP Chief Superintendent William Hodges. Bill Pertwee was born on the 21st July 1926 in Amersham, England. In 1968, at the age of 42, he joined his father's army as ARP Warden William Hodges, a grumpy, combative air raid warden who often clashed with Captain Manwaring's National Guard unit. Hodges' tough but humorous presence became a beloved part of the show's identity, propelling Pertwee to national television fame. Pertwee's childhood was tumultuous, with him moving house frequently after his father's death when he was just 12. His education was interrupted, and he attended a variety of educational establishments, from independent monasteries to technical schools. During World War II, a swimming accident made him ineligible for service in the Royal Air Force, RAF, but he nevertheless joined the Air Training Corps and worked in a Spitfire parts factory. Over the following years, Pertwee worked in a variety of jobs, from accountant at the stock exchange to salesman for Burberry, before his comedy career led him into the entertainment industry. His marriage to Marion MacLeod in 1955 was a source of comfort, but tragedy struck when she died in 2008, leaving a void that was never filled. After her death, Pertwee lived a quiet life in Devon, although he remained active in charity work and served as chairman of the Father's Army Appreciation Society. The loneliness of his loss, combined with a tendency to overwork, saw his health rapidly decline, particularly with respiratory and mobility problems in his later years. On 27 May 2013, Bill Pertwee died at his home in Cornwall, aged 86, just 3 days after appearing in a frail state at a parade in Thetford, home of the Father's Army Museum. His net worth was estimated at £2 million, the result of a career spanning more than 50 years in the entertainment industry and a role that became legendary. Colin Bean as Private Sponge. Colin Bean was born on April 15, 1926, in Wigan, England. In 1968, at the age of 42, he joined Dad's army as Private Sponge, a National Guard platoon member who spoke little but made an impression with his innate sense of humor. Over the course of 27 episodes, Bean's presence grew from a supporting character to a beloved fan favorite. Behind the cheerful on-screen persona, Colin Bean has overcome many challenges. After serving in the British Army after World War II, he returned to his passion for theater but faced many obstacles, from financial difficulties to professional pressures. A grueling performance schedule, Late hours and constant supporting roles left him constantly exhausted and stressed. Arthritis plagued him in his later years, forcing him to retire, focus on radio work, and write his memoir, Who Do You Think You Are Kidding?, revealing the many hidden struggles of a life devoted to the arts but always hidden from the limelight. Colin Bean died on June 20th, 2009, at Wigan Hospital at the age of 83 after a stroke and age-related complications. He left behind an estimated net worth of $700,000, the result of more than half a century of dedication to stage, television, and radio.